might have the power to hurt and will do none that do not do the thing they most do show. Who, moving others, are themselves as stone, unmoved, cold and temptation slow. They rightly do inherit heaven's graces, and husband nature's riches from expense. They are the lords and the owners of their faces, others but stewards of their excellence. The summer's flowers is to the summer sweet, though to itself it only live and die. But if the flower with the base infection to me, the base sweet outbraves its dignity. The summer flower is to the summer sweet, though to itself it only live and die. But if the flower with the base infection to me, the base sweet outbraves its dignity. For sweetest things turn sour by their deed. Lilies that fester smell far worse than weeds. For sweetest things turn sour by their deed. Lilies that fester smell far worse than weeds. Far worse than we. To the summer sweet, though itself it only live and die. But if the flower with the base infection meet, the base sweet outbraves its dignity. The summer flower is to the summer sweet, though to itself it only live and die. And if the flower with the base infection meet, the base sweet outbraves its dignity. It only live and die.
Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? Thou art more lovely and more temperate. Rough winds do shake the darling buds of May, and summer's lease hath all too short a date. Sometime too hot the eye of heaven shines, and often is his gold complexion dimmed. And every fair from fair sometime declines by chance or nature's changing course untrimmed. Thy eternal summer shall not fade, nor lose possession of that fair thou owest, nor shall death brag thou wanderest in his shade, when in eternal lines to time thou growest. So long as men can breathe or eyes can see, so long lives this, and this gives life to thee.
Weary with toil, I haste me to my bed, the dear repose for limbs with travel tired. But then begins a journey in my head to work my mind when body's work's expired. For then my thoughts, from far where I abide, intend a zealous pilgrimage to thee, and keep my drooping eyelids open wide, looking on darkness which the blind do see. Save that my soul's imaginary sight presents thy shadow to my sightless view, which, like a jewel hung in ghastly night, makes black night beauteous, and her old face new. Lo, thus, by day my limbs, by night my mind, for thee and for myself, no quiet find.
When in disgrace, with fortune and men's eyes, I all alone beweep my outcast state, and trouble deaf heaven with my bootless cries, and look upon myself and curse my fate, wishing me like to one more rich in hope, featured like him with friends possessed, desiring this man's art and that man's scope, with what I most enjoyed contented least. Yet in these thoughts myself almost despising, haply I think on thee and then my state, like to the lark at break of day arising, from sullen earth sings hymns at heaven's gate, for thy sweet love remembered, such wealth brings that then I scorn to change my state with kings.
When to the sessions of sweet, silent thought I summon up remembrance of things past, I sigh the lack of many a thing I sought, and with old woes new wail my dear time's waste. Then can I drown an eye unused to flow, for precious friends hid in death's stateless night, and weep afresh love's long since cancelled woe, and moan the expense of many a vanished sight. Then can I grieve at grievances foregone, and heavily from woe to woe tell o'er the sad account of fore bemoaned moan, which I new pay as if not paid before. But if the while I think on thee, dear friend, all losses are restored and sorrows end.
If the dull substance of my flesh were thought, injurious distance should not stop my way, for then despite of space I would be brought from limits far removed, where thou dost stay. No matter then, although my foot did stand upon the farthest earth removed from thee, for nimble thought can jump both sea and land, as soon as think the place where he would be. But,
thought kills me, that I am not thought, to leap large lengths of miles when thou art gone. But that, so much of earth and water wrought, I must attend time's leisure with my moan, receiving naught by elements so slow but heavy tears, badges of either's woe.
Being your slave, what should I do but tend upon the hours and times of your desire? I have no precious time at all to spend, nor services to do till you require. Nor dare I chide the world without end hour, whilst I, my sovereign, watch the clock for you, nor think the bitterness of absence sour when you have bid your servant once adieu. Nor dare I question with my jealous thought where you may be or your affairs suppose, but, like a sad slave, stay, and think of naught save where you are, how happy you make those. So true a fool is love, that in your will, though you do anything, he thinks no ill.
Some glory in their birth, some in their skill, some in their wealth, some in their body's force, some in their garments, though new-fangled ill, some in their hawks and hounds, some in their horse. And every humour hath his adjunct pleasure, wherein he finds a joy above the rest. But these particulars are not my measure. All these I better in one general best. Thy love is better than high birth to me, richer than wealth, prouder than garments cost, of more delight than hawks and horses be. And having thee, of all men's pride I boast, wretched in this alone, that thou mayst take all this away, and me most wretched make.
How like a winter hath my absence been from thee? The pleasures of the fleeting year? What freezings have I felt? What dark days seen? What old December's bareness everywhere? And yet this time removed was summer's time. The teeming autumn, big with rich increase, bearing the wanton burden of the prime, like widowed wombs after their lord's decease. And yet this abundant issue seemed to me but hope of orphans and unfathered fruit. For summer and his pleasures wait on thee, and thou away, the very birds are mute, or if they sing, 'tis with so dull a cheer that leaves are pale, dreading the winter's near.
From you have I been absent in the spring, when proud pied April, dressed in all his trim, hath put a spirit of youth in everything, that even heavy Saturn laughed and leaped with him. Yet nor the lays of birds, nor the sweet smell of different flowers in odour and in hue could make me any summer's story tell, or from their proud lap pluck them where they grew. Nor did I wonder at the lilies white, nor praise the deep vermilion in the rose. They were but sweet, but figures of delight drawn after you, you, pattern of all those. yet seemed it winter still, and you away. As with your shadow, I with these did play.
Let me not to the marriage of true minds admit impediments. Love is not love which alters when it alteration finds, or bends with the remover to remove. Oh no, it is an ever fixed mark that looks upon tempests and is never shaken. It is the star to every wandering bark, whose worth's unknown, although his height be taken. Love's not time's fool, though rosy lips and cheeks within his bending sickle's compass come. Love alters not with his brief hours and weeks, but bears it out even to the edge of doom. If this be error, and upon me proved, I never writ, nor no man ever loved.
"'Tis better to be vile than vile esteemed, when not to be receives reproach of being, and the just pleasure lost, which is so deemed not by our feeling, but by others' seeing. For why should others, false, adulterate eyes, give salutation to my sportive blood? Or on my frailties why are frailer spies, which in their wills count bad, what I think good? No, I am that I am, and they that level at my abuses reckon up their own. I may be straight, though they themselves be bevel. By their rank thoughts my deeds must not be shown. Unless this general evil they maintain, all men are bad, and in their badness reign.
Were't aught to me, I bore the canopy with my extern, the outward honouring, or laid great bases for eternity, which prove more short than waste or ruining. Have I not seen dwellers on form and favour lose all, and more, by paying too much rent, for compound sweet, for going simple savour? Pitiful thrivers in their gazing spent. No, let me be obsequious in thy heart, and take thou my oblation poor, but free, which is not mixed with seconds, knows no art, but mutual render, only me for thee. Hence, thus abhorred an informer, a true soul when most impreached stands least in thy control.
The expense of spirit and a waste of shame is lust in action. Until action, lust is perjured, murderous, bloody, full of blame, savage, extreme, rude, cruel, not to trust, enjoyed no sooner but despised straight. Past reason hunted and no sooner had, past reason hated as a swallowed bait on purpose laid to make the taker mad. Mad in pursuit and in possession so, had, having, and in quest to have extreme. A bliss in proof, and proved a very woe. Before a joy proposed, behind a dream. All this the world well knows, yet none knows well to shun the heaven that leads men to this hell.
My mistress' eyes are nothing like the sun. Coral is far more red than her lips red. If snow be white, why then her breasts are dun. If hair be wires, black wires grow on her head. I have seen roses damask red and white, yet no such roses see I in her cheeks. And in some perfumes is there more delight than in the breath that from my mistress reeks. I love to hear her speak, yet well I know that music hath a far more pleasing sound. I grant I never saw a goddess go. My mistress, when she walks, treads on the ground. And yet, by heaven, I think my love as rare as any shibboleth with false compare.
In faith, I do not love thee with mine eyes, for they in thee 1,000 errors note. But 'tis my heart that loves what they despise, who in despite of view is pleased to dote. Nor are mine ears with thy tongue's tune delighted, nor tender feeling to base touches prone, nor taste nor smell desire to be invited to any sensual feast with thee alone. But my 5 wits, nor my 5 senses can dissuade one foolish heart from serving thee, who leaves unswayed the likeness of a man, thy proud heart's slave and vassal wretch to be. Only my plague thus far I count my gain, that she that makes me sin awards me pain.
Poor soul, the centre of my sinful earth, why feedest these rebel powers that thee array? Why dost thou pine within and suffer dearth, painting thy outward walls so costly gay? Why so large cost, having so short a lease, dost thou upon thy fading mansion spend? Shall worms, inheritors of the success, eat up thy charge? Is this thy body's end? Then, soul, live thou upon thy servant's loss, and let that pine to aggravate thy store by terms divine in selling hours of dross. Within be fed, without be rich no more. So shalt thou feed on death, that feeds on men. And death, once dead, there's no more dying then.
They that have the power to hurt and will do none, that do not do the thing they most do show. Others are themselves as stone, unmoved, cold and temptation slow. They rightly do inherit heaven's graces, and husband nature's riches from expense. They are the lords and the owners of their faces, others but stewards of their excellence. The summer's flowers is to the summer sweet, though to itself it only live and die. But if the flower with the base infection to me, the base sweet outbraves is dignified. Summer flower is to the summer sweet, though to itself it only live and die. But if the flower with the base infection in me, the base sweet outbraves its dignity. For sweetest things turn sourest by their deed. Lilies that fester smell far worse than weeds. For sweetest things turn sourest by their deed. Lilies that fester smell far worse than weeds. Far worse than we. To the summer sweet, though itself it only live and die. But if the flower with the base infection meet, the base sweet outbraves its dignity. The summer flower is to the summer sweet, though to itself it only live and die. And if the flower with the base infection meet, the base sweet outbraves its dignity.